Hello, I'm Rebecca, and I'm an empath. I am actually in my own process of healing codependency. I'm creating a series of videos for people who are sensitive, self aware, and are tired of blaming themselves for patterns that actually make sense. In this video, I want to talk about how codependency forms for sensitive people. Not as a personality flaw, not as a weakness, but as a nervous system adaptation. Codependency is often misunderstood. It's not about being needy or incapable or unable to be alone. It's about how the body has learned to secure connection. For sensitive people, connection isn't really emotional. It's actually biological. When connection feels unsafe, inconsistent, and conditional, the nervous system just adapts. Codependency forms when love becomes something you earn instead of something you just receive. When approval feels safer than authenticity, when staying connected feels more important than staying true to yourself. Many of us have learned very early that being attuned to others was rewarded, that being easy, agreeable, or quiet really created a safety, and that expressing needs like anger or truth sometimes would come with a consequence. In my childhood, love didn't really feel warm or reassuring. It felt conditional. I learned that if I stayed quiet, I didn't take up a lot of space. If I was good and easy to deal with, I would receive approval. But if I struggled, if I made a mistake, if I couldn't keep up, if I needed help, that approval could disappear. There was a lot of fear in my environment: fear of punishment, fear of being wrong, and fear of doing something that could make somebody angry. So my body learned something very specific. Safety came from managing my environment, not expressing myself. And when a child grows up in that kind of environment, the nervous system doesn't learn peace. It learns vigilance. It learns, if I scan, I can stay safe. If I anticipate, I can prevent conflict. If I adapt, I can belong. I can become very good at reading people, their tone, their mood, their energy, not because I was gifted, but because I had to be. And that sensitivity followed me into adulthood. In relationships, I didn't even ask, how do I feel with this person? I asked, how do they feel about me? I overgave, I overexplained, and I stayed quiet when something didn't feel right. I betrayed my own need to keep the connection intact. At the time, I felt love, but it wasn't. I was just living in a repeated pattern of survival. Why codependency feels so compelling. Here's something important to understand. We don't repeat patterns because we like pain. We repeat because our nervous system recognizes them. Familiar does not mean healthy. It only means known. In my adult relationships, I was often drawn to intensity, emotional highs and lows, people that were unavailable, addicted, or emotionally volatile. And every time a relationship ended, it ended in chaos, adrenaline, confusion, and self doubt. I always felt like something was wrong with me. I was too much, or not enough, or somehow broken. But what I was actually experiencing is a trauma bond. Trauma bonding feels intense. Love feels safe. Trauma bonding creates urgency, obsession, and a fear of abandonment. Love creates steadiness, honesty, and choice. I always confuse intensity with intimacy because that's what my nervous system had to learn first. The cost of self abandonment Codependency often looks like overgiving, overthinking, overfunctioning, staying too long, explaining yourself when there's no explanation needed. Not because you don't see the harm, but because leaving feels like danger. For me, it took years to realize what I thought was love was just a familiar chaos, and my body kept choosing it, even when my mind knew better. It's because the nervous system doesn't respond to logic, it responds to safety. There is nothing wrong with your empathy. The problem isn't sensitivity. The problem is when sensitivity is used to abandon the self. What you learned was intelligent adaptation, an environment where power wasn't equal. That is not a weakness. That's a survival intelligence. Healing codependency isn't about becoming detached or uncaring. It's about staying connected to yourself while in connection with others. That's nervous system work. That's embodiment. That's learning how to feel without losing yourself. If you see yourself in this, I just want to let you know your pattern makes sense. Your reactions make sense. Your history makes sense. Healing isn't about becoming someone new, it's about returning to who you were before survival had to take over. In the next video, I want to talk about what it is like to grow up in an environment where love meant silence and how that shapes us into adults. Thank you for being here with me. I'm so grateful to walk this journey with you. Bye, guys.